Hello, Internet. I heard you haven't been liking making music lately, and maybe you like your old music that you've made better than the new stuff. You don't feel as connected to it, and the process just isn't as fun anymore. I've been making music for over 20 years, and I've gone through tons of creative peaks and valleys, and I created this step by step guide to get myself unstuck and to really figure out how I can truly love the music that I'm making. All right, so let's get right into it. Step number one, stop making music. Just stop completely. Don't open any programs. Don't open your DAW. Don't pick up an instrument. Don't write lyrics. Don't listen to any music that you made, especially work in progress stuff, music that's not done. Nothing. Don't open yourself up for any criticism. Essentially, you are no longer an artist for the time being. So you might be thinking, what am I going to do during this time where I'm not making music? Well, you're going to wake up, you're going to go to work, you're going to eat food, you're going to call a friend, you're going to read a book. Remember, you're not an artist. So just live your normal life as if you would without making music. I would recommend doing this for at least a month, but 2 weeks is probably like the lowest amount, I would say. The reason this is so important is because the reason that you're not loving the music you're making is because you've gotten all twisted up in your head and you're overthinking things. Creativity has become confusing when it should just be a natural expression. So, what you have to do is rediscover just your natural level, just like stasis, without getting caught up with what you should be doing with music, what you shouldn't be doing creatively. You got to just be a person and just experience life because the best music and art is created from life experience, inspiration. And then you either experience something or you think something or you go through something and then you make art about it. So, paying attention to your normal life is the first step in getting back into making music that you will love. Again, I would recommend at least 2 weeks, but preferably a month or more, but this can go on for however long you feel like it should. 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. This is a very open time frame depending on where you're at with your music and what you think you need. All right, so step number 2, listen to music. You're gonna make a playlist. Actually, you're gonna make 2 playlists. The first playlist you're gonna make is gonna be messy. Think back to a time when you were very excited about music when you were younger. Like, what was the first music that you maybe discovered on your own and got really into a certain genre? Or what was the music you were listening to when you really decided to take making music seriously? Like, what really pushed you to wanna make music in the first place? So, what you're gonna do is you're gonna think of, this general time period and just try to remember albums or songs, preferably albums that you used to listen to, and just put all of them on a playlist. Just any album you can think of that fits in that time frame or that sound or that era of inspiration for you, just put all the albums on one big playlist. I made one of these playlists recently. I'll show you mine as an example. The link's in the description. It's on Tidal. I know nobody uses Tidal, but it's there if you want to see it. So basically, this playlist is all of the music that I remember listening to when I was in middle school in the mid 2000s, really getting into like hardcore metal, screamo, emo music. I think there's like 1,000 songs on the playlist, but that's not the point. The point is you make the playlist, you get as much stuff on there. Don't just put a bunch of stuff for no reason. It has to fit into your specific era and time frame. But once you have it fully loaded up, just listen to that playlist on shuffle as often as you want, as often as you can. Now, I also want to specify you're not looking for sounds to be inspired by, like this guitar tone, this drum programming, this bass that was used. Like, you're not looking for that. You're looking for a feeling. You're looking for the feeling that the music gave you the first time you heard it and continuously since then. That's what's important about this playlist is capturing a time when you were so excited about music that it fully just took you over and you were so obsessed with it. All right, so the second playlist you're going to make, I might make a separate video about this because it's kind of a long process, but this playlist is all of your favorite songs or songs that really inspire you when you first heard them. And these are individual songs now. It's not bands, it's not albums, it's songs. Maybe something that your friend showed you. They were like, "I think you'll really like this song," and you heard it and it like stopped you in your tracks. Like I've been working on one of these playlists since 2018. I've just been slowly adding stuff to it as it comes to me or as it re-enters my life. I hear it again and I'm like, "Oh my god, I forgot about this song." Um, I'll put the link for mine in the bio for that as well. Again, it's on Title. I have Title. I don't know. All of this playlist making and listening to music should be happening simultaneously with you still not making any music, still not picking up an instrument, not listening to your music, just listening to music and trying to fall in love with music again, like music in itself. Because most people were not born just making music. Something happened where they heard something and they were like, wow, that's amazing, or they saw a concert. So, this part of the process is really important because that's what it's all about. It's a feeling that you're getting from art that's being created. That's what is so amazing about music in the first place. So, this step is all about rediscovering that feeling. All right. So, step number 3, I call this excavation. So, what you're going to do is you're going to go through all your old hard drives. Try to find the oldest music that you can find that you made. Try to find like the best stuff where you were like, wow, I can't even believe I made this. Try to find recent stuff, even just little work in progresses that's just like a short idea. Find everything. The thing you're the most proud of releasing. Like maybe you put out an album and you were really proud of it. Get all of that music together, as much of your own music as possible all together, and then start listening to that on shuffle. The purpose of this step is to figure out what you do like about your music and maybe what doesn't work or what you've evolved past or what you've dabbled with but you haven't fully pursued and you're ready now to fully pursue. It's okay to be critical. If you hear something you don't like and you're like, that is trash, like just skip it. You don't have to force yourself to listen to everything. But the reason I call it excavation is because you're digging up from yourself. You're trying to find the gems from stuff you've already created because everything you make has value. Maybe not monetary value, but everything you make is a part of you. So in some way or another, it's an accurate representation of how you were feeling in that moment. So, this part of the process is important because you're going to start remembering things, from when you were making that music. Like, for example, maybe you made a beat with one of your friends in your parents' basement in 2015. I'm talking about myself. I'll hear this beat that I made almost 10 years ago with my friend, and I'll think back to those times and just like how excited I was to make beats and how excited I was to be collaborating with someone who was like a close friend of mine. And that is going to start to give you inspiration for being excited about music and loving music. And you're going to re fall in love with music that you've made. Now, again, during this process, you are still not making any new music. You're not tinkering with anything you're listening to. Everything has to be bounces. Don't go into project files and like where you can move around audio files and change stuff. No. MP3s, just have it all in a playlist so that you can't alter anything. You can just listen to it. And also keep listening to the playlists of other people's music that you made and, updating it as you go, creating it as you go. That's still happening simultaneously. All right. Final step, number 4. I call this play, don't write. So, what this part is all about is playing your instrument or playing with making music, but you're not recording anything. You're not setting anything in stone. It's all about playing. And I mean playing, but also like being a kid, playing, like being playful about music and not making anything serious or not trying to really hunker down and write something. No recording is happening during this process. Don't set up your iPhone on voice memo and record yourself playing guitar with no amp. No, nothing. This is all about getting back in touch with the actual creative process and not writing. So obviously everybody makes music differently. So this part of the process is going to look differently for pretty much everybody. But the most important part is just playing. Like pulling up a synth pad in the DAW that you work in and just playing some chords. Or like if you play guitar, just learn some chords from a song that you really like so that you'll kind of be able to reverse engineer how that song came to be. If you play keyboard or piano, playing a chord progression that you're familiar with, but in a different key, so that your fingers are doing different things, it sounds differently, and your brain is being forced to think differently. Again, no recording, no writing, just letting it happen, just letting it come out of you. You're still listening to your work in progresses and just old stuff that you've made periodically, just trying to find stuff that you like, don't like. You're still making the playlist, listening to the playlist of other people's music, and you're still not actually writing any music or recording anything. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's very important to not record things because if you are a recording artist in any way, you will know that if you record something, a lot of the times you're going to fall in love with that sound and you're not going to want to change it. And if you do try to change it, it's not going to have the same feeling that it did when you originally made it. And that's going to frustrate you. So, recording is a very sacred process. It can be done on a whim and, like without a lot of thought and still be amazing art. But the process of recording is very, very important because that's how everybody else is going to hear what you're doing. You can sit in your room and play guitar all day. No one's going to hear it unless you record it and show it to people. And then during this time, when you're fiddling around and improvising melodies and what have you, you're going to start to figure out little chord progressions or little melodies or little parts of a song that you'll start playing over and over again. Every time you pick up your guitar, you're going to like play this little riff that you wrote. Or every time you go sit down at the keyboard, you're going to just play these chords that you figured out. Or every time you open up Ableton, you're going to pull up the specific instrument VST sound that you really like that you've been messing around with for a week or whatever. And day by day, you will find yourself in the early stages of writing songs again. And then eventually, what you're going to do is you're going to be like, fuck all this. I'm not restricting myself in this way anymore. I've boxed myself in. I'm following this weird step by step guideline from some guy that I saw on YouTube. I don't even know who it was. Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I putting myself through this? I just want to write songs. And that means you succeeded. Once you break out of this box, it's 4 sides too. So it's literally a box that you create. And eventually you're going to get so frustrated and you're going to be overflowing with creative energy that you're just going to explode and you're just going to have to write songs. You're going to have no other choice but to write music and record it and do something with it. And then before you know it, you're just writing music again. And it's amazing and you love it. Now, is this an exact science? Obviously not. But I have done this process naturally a couple times before I started to really think about it in a more specific way and be like, oh, this actually can be like a nice little regiment that I can follow to get myself back into that spark. And again, I recommend total time, this whole process, at least a month, preferably more. But this could be a year process or multiple years, even, depending. Again, everyone's different. So let yourself take as much time as you feel like you need. Or if you feel like you're good in a month, then be like, I'm good. I'm writing songs again. Like, don't overthink the time part too much. But in my opinion, to really go through the process, it's going to take at least a month. This is a method you can always come back to, and you can make new playlists, and you can pick different eras that you were inspired by to make these playlists, and you can find some of your music that you didn't find the first time. Be like, oh man, this is a batch of songs that I made. I don't even remember making these. And then that'll be like, the process will start over, but it'll be different, if that makes sense. And the reason I think this is so important is because if you're a creative person, you got to be really in love with what you're making. You can't get too specifically attached to things you make, in my opinion. But the process should be something that you feel like you have no choice but to do. It shouldn't be a laborious thing. It shouldn't be something that is hard for you to bring yourself to do. Because most likely, if you're feeling that way, you're experiencing some form of burnout. And that's just not necessary for making music because everything else in life is going to be burning you out. Music and art should be what's fun about life and what you are able to let out because you're always trying to keep stuff in potentially. Again, this is just me talking, but I feel like I need art and I need music to express myself and to just let energy out. And if I don't feel like I'm in love with that process, it really affects me in my daily life. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you get something out of it. If you want to hear some music that I made that I really love after going through this process very recently, so 3 songs, it's 10 minutes. You don't have to listen to it. Right here. You can click that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.